One man. One battle. A world that could have been. History is written, but what if? In June 1815, history took a decisive turn. Napoleon Bonaparte was defeated at Waterloo, ending 2 decades of war and reshaping the balance of global power. But what if he had won? What if the French Empire not only survived, but redefined the future of Europe? Immediate outcome: a victorious empire. If Napoleon had won at Waterloo, it's likely he would have forced a peace treaty on Britain and Prussia. The coalition would fracture, and France would emerge as the uncontested superpower of Europe. Napoleon reestablishes the continental system, a massive trade bloc designed to isolate British economic influence, and reinstates loyal client states across Italy, Germany, and parts of Eastern Europe. The ink of conquest dries into law. With a flick of his hand, Napoleon redraws Europe's trade routes, walling Britain out of the continent it once ruled by coin. From Milan to Warsaw, loyal client states sign on, bound not by language, but by leverage. Long-term stability, the birth of the Continental Union. With his empire secured, Napoleon shifts from warfare to governance. His Napoleonic Code becomes the legal framework for much of Europe, unifying civil rights, property laws, and bureaucratic systems. By the 1830s, a continental union could emerge, a French-led federation with shared currency, infrastructure, and administration, a proto-European union under the imperial eagle. Global implications. The fall of the British Empire. Britain, now isolated and humiliated, faces growing unrest in its colonies. Without the moral victory of Waterloo and economic dominance, uprisings begin to stir in India, the Caribbean, even Canada. Meanwhile, France expands its colonial ambitions in North Africa and Southeast Asia, directly challenging British dominance. The imperial spotlight shifts from London to Paris. Culture and language, a Francophone future. French becomes the diplomatic, legal, and cultural language of the continent. Paris replaces London as the intellectual capital of Europe. Writers, scientists, and revolutionaries speak not in English or German, but in French. Think of a world where Victor Hugo overshadows Shakespeare, and liberty is not an English right, but a French birthright. Modern consequences. The EU, born a century early? Fast forward to today. In this timeline, Europe becomes a single political entity, not just a union of nations, but a fully federated superstate. There is no World War I, no rising German nationalism. There is no Hitler, and perhaps no unnecessary deaths. Without these scars, NATO and the United Nations may not even exist. Instead, the modern world is shaped by a unified Europe under French foundations, technologically advanced, globally dominant, and culturally distinct. Risks and contradictions. The fragile eagle. But even empires built on law and unity can collapse under their own weight. Nationalism doesn't disappear. It simmers. Succession crises, economic inequalities, and cultural differences could spark internal revolutions. Would Napoleon's dream outlive him or crack under its own ambitions? One cannon blast, one cavalry charge, one moment in the mud of Waterloo, and history turned. But in another world, we'd be speaking French, carrying Napoleons in our wallets, and living in the shadow of a united empire. History isn't just what happened, it's what almost did. If you enjoyed this timeline, subscribe for more alternate histories every week. History is written, but what if?